Hi, it's Natasha.
And Khalil.
And we are the co-hosts of
WokeNFree.
Thank you for tuning in to our 187th episode of WokeNFree. If you've been tuning in every week for WokeNFree Wednesday, you know that WokeNFree is all about being real and honest with each other and you. We talk about everything and anything important to us, you, the world, and nothing is off the table. This week, we are discussing marriage or mortgage, something you might have seen from the fantastic Netflix show called Marriage or Mortgage. But before we dive deep, a couple of things to go over. Have you downloaded the episode that you are listening to right now from WokeNFree.com through the Podbean app? If not, please do, because A, that's how you show your number one support, and B, that's how you join the conversation. And we're talking about marriage and buying a home. Of course you have thoughts and ideas. We want to hear them. Make sure you download the app and share your comments. Next, you have to absolutely, no matter what, go to WokeNFree.com to see where the different places you can see the show at on our listen tab. And why do you want to do that? Because, for instance, maybe you can't download another app. You can still follow and subscribe to the show on any of those other platforms, such as iTunes or TuneIn or Stitcher or Google Play, or we are obviously our YouTube channel, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora. We're everywhere, guys. So make sure you do that. And of course, you don't want to forget to subscribe via email. When you go to WokeNFree.com, you see that option on the homepage. That's super helpful because you get the weekly reminders for all the new episodes, and super easy to forward that to friends and family, because if you're WokeNFree, how could your friends and family not be WokeNFree? Let's get it together, guys. Now, when it comes to social media, you can always holler at us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. Yes, TikTok and Pinterest at WokeNFree. And then, of course, if you have 90 seconds, what can you do? You can smile, you can laugh, you can enjoy the sun, but most of all, you can give us a review. You can review the show on the places that you love to catch this show at. And so if you happen to be an iTunes fan and you happen to like 5-star reviews, I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't want to give us one.
True.
So
good point.
We love our 5-star reviews. Make sure you go on there, give us the thoughts that you have. How's the show feeding into you? And if you don't want to do iTunes, you can review the show on other platforms of your choice, but just definitely take the time to review the show so we can hear from you. With that, I'm going to pass it to you, sir.
All right. I'm thoroughly convinced. Before we start the conversation, we shall share a little bit about us. Mm-hmm. Last time we asked, do you think muffins are just cakes? This week we're asking, would you rather go without your cell phone or your computer?
I can go without my computer, not my cell phone, because that is practically connected to me. By it not being near me, I start to practically shake, really. And I thoroughly accept my addiction to my cell phone. And anyway,
Nice.
My cell phone is like a mini computer, so why would I not want to be, how could I be without it? It doesn't make sense. So that's my answer. How about you?
Agree to agree.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yes, the phone is portable and it is technically a PC. Mm-hmm. So choosing that is the win-win of the situation. Definitely the cell phone over the computer.
Word.
The computer is going to be so bulky. The phone is nice and portable. Take it anywhere.
I love the level of enthusiasm that you have in discussing it, too.
Yeah.
Truly riveting.
But that's what I was trying to tell you, is that I'm very excited about it. It warms my heart. Mm-hmm. It does. But just because I don't express it in the same manner as you,
exactly,
doesn't mean much. But, I express other things that come from the heart deep down within. I express our marriage in different ways. I express it maybe through getting a mortgage. That could be a way of expressing
that's your transition?
A marriage. Yeah.
I hope our son that is in my belly hears
it was on shaky waters
failing
there.
at this transition.
That was me trying to do the stand-up paddle board and not having a paddle.
Okay.
That's what happened to me out there.
Okay.
I was put up on it and I couldn't stay up on it.
As your wife, I will cheer you on to say, I love you, but that blew.
It was that blew.
No, it didn't. I'm cheesy as ever, but I like that attempt to a transition. And with that, I think I'll just get into the first statement and or question that needs to be said here, which is that we watched the Netflix show Marriage or Mortgage and found the show to be both interesting and maddening, probably at the same time. And ultimately, when it comes to people getting married or buying a house, what do you think is the best decision to make here?
All right, and then just to give a background, just in case people haven't seen the show, so on Marriage or Mortgage, it's about a couple that comes in and they meet with a real estate agent and then a wedding planner, and they tell them, we have this budget, but we don't know if we want to buy a home or if we want to have a wedding. And each of the agents the real estate agent and the wedding planner tries to convince them what's the best way to go, and they give them like little deals along the way. And then at the end, the couple decides what they want based on whatever they were seeing. So,
exactly.
We're talking about what's the best decision to be made. And if you ask me, I would say buying the house is the best decision in most of the cases, actually. And it's for some of the reasons I'm about to list. You grow generational wealth when purchasing a home. You put money towards an essential need of all humans, which is shelter.
Correct.
You have a space you can customize for the rest of your life. You have a space to create unlimited memories, not just a single day or event. You have a space that is for yourselves. You have many tax advantages. You can use your space as a venue and have the wedding there.
Provided that there are no limitations with the use of the land.
Yeah, possibly. Yes. Yeah, it's just a possibility. You can use as leverage for other purchases, and you can generate money from sale or rental of the home. So these were just a couple of reasons why I think buying a house is the best decision.
That makes sense. And I agree with you there, because buying a house every single time makes the most sense. I think, especially when we watched the show, there were some couples where we could see where they didn't want to buy a home and they chose wedding. But overall, you should buy a house, because not all marriages work out. And I don't want to be a pessimist, but it's just a reality. People get divorced. And so why are you spending thousands of dollars on a wedding for one day with a person you may or may not be with 20 years from now? When you could you could have invested in property that could have increased both of your future wealth, even if it required you having to sell it in a divorce settlement or whatever. At the end of the day, it was an investment in your property and an investment in your future. And to your, point, generational wealth, you could keep the house, and even though you're divorcing, maybe rent it and, divvy out there's different ways to go about it. So buy a home. Next, weddings, personally really view them for more so your family and friends. And so then the question becomes, are they worth spending thousands of dollars for a one-time event? My answer is 100% no. But depending upon how you view your family and friends, you might think different. Have we been to some beautiful weddings? Absolutely. I mean, recently we were at a beautiful wedding for a friend and friends, and they, definitely thought it was a lovely affair. I would not invest that money in folks, because I don't think they'd even appreciate it. And, I'll just leave it at that. And then lastly, to your point, if you are looking to have more physical space in your life, and changing your circumstances and how you live, typically that's going to be done with a house, not a wedding, because you can have a beautiful wedding day, but then you go back into a crammed apartment or a house that you don't like living in or a place that you don't like to live in. How does anyone benefit from that? So home wins each and every time for me.
Wow, each and every time.
Yeah.
All right. That's some good points. Why do people struggle with deciding on having a wedding versus buying a home?
So as we saw presented in the show, for those that are kind of really wrestling with that decision, comes down to the following things. So you want to get married because and have this beautiful wedding because you are wanting to fulfill those childhood dreams of getting married. I too was one of those girls who thought, wow, it'd be kind of cool to have this like pretty dress and to spend the day with folks, even though, you most likely won't even talk to people who go to your wedding 10 years later, but still the idea of it just seems so glamorized and so romanticized. So it's like, yay. And then also, if you do want to spend the night with your friends and family, the people that you enjoy the most, celebrating your personal love story, right? It's a testimony to who you love and why the world should be proud or see why that your loved one is everything. That is a wonderful day to make that all about that. And then if you try to weigh that against buying a house, it's a little bit less sexy because it's like, cool, invest in your future. That doesn't sound sexy or pretty. And then also get more space. Again, doesn't sound sexy or pretty. So the debate then becomes, why would you choose one or the other? it seemed on the show, and then generally like what I envision from people struggling with is maybe you're not decisive enough as a person, and so you're wrestling because you're like, oh, I know that the house is probably the better decision, but I want the pretty dress, I want the pretty day, I want the fun cake. Or you're really an unrealistic person in the sense that you're like, one day is going to be more important to you than your entire future. Very bizarre thinking, very bizarre thinking, but definitely is it common? Yes. And then also people not prioritizing their finances over their emotions because buying a home again is not going to be as sexy as having a beautiful wedding. But what are we living for, right? Are we living for the sexy moments? Are we living for financial freedom and generational wealth building? We're living for freedom and wealth building, not sexy moments. At least I'm not living for that. So that's where my decision process or kind of breakdown comes there. But how about you?
You're now listening to WokeNFree.
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 WokeNFree. WokeNFree.
A podcast about keeping it real and honest.
All right. Well, for me, I have a couple reasons I think this is happening. Some of these might intersect with some of the things you were pointing out before. But one big thing is sometimes you don't find the perfect home. So it's like, why would you go with that when at least the wedding is just a one-time event and it's a one and done instead of having this home that you're going to be stuck with and you got to figure out how to live with it.
Great point.
So that was an issue. And I think another issue is that people want to fulfill a childhood dream. So maybe they always had a dream of what their wedding day should look like.
100%.
They never dreamed of what their house should look like. That wasn't part of the fairy tale. It was just having that wedding and taking it from there, right? Winging the rest. So I think a lot of people are just going back to that nostalgia factor.
Yeah.
Another one is wanting to throw a celebration for a dear family member. So they want to throw this big party because their family, you know, their uncle or somebody's going to really enjoy it. So they put the family first on that or whoever. They say they're going to really enjoy it, so I'm doing it for them. So that's one thing. And then the biggest thing is this. I love this reason is people want to show other people how much they love each other, the spouse or the couple in the relationship. So if you have this big extravagant wedding, what that means is you must really love your partner because look at that wedding. Look at all you did for your partner. That proves that you two are meant to be together. Otherwise, you wouldn't have had this big extravagance to show everybody. Like that's what true love is, having a extreme wedding where lots of things happen and it's very lovey and there's
romantic.
Lots of good food and there's good music. Look at that. You're having so much fun together. This is a representation for the rest of your marriage.
Definitely not. Yeah.
The wedding day. So that's what that comes to mind with people. Some people think that the wedding is kind of like the picture for
symbolism for their marriage, right?
Yeah, this will show what the rest of the marriage is going to be like somehow, even though it doesn't address anything that the marriage really deals with.
Speaks to.
It's a party. It's let's call it what it is. It's a party.
It's a fancy party.
Yeah. Now, what advice do you have for those currently debating between getting married or buying a new home?
I would say, obviously, we are biased, and so...
Finally, that comes out.
And why? Because we chose you bought your home before you turned 25, and instead we then got married at City Hall, and it was... I would call not a glamorous affair. It was, I hated what I wore. My hair was not what it wanted to look like. My makeup was not on point.
Didn't it rain or something?
Yeah, and so I went from having fun straight hair to just a weird Afro puff situation going on. And I hated what I was wearing, and our family was there. Like, our immediate family was there. And then even that I got, kind of addressed for like why we didn't have something bigger and, harassed because I do come from a big family and your family's kind of big as well. So it was awkward and annoying and not necessarily like a wonderful memory. And, will I always want a wedding in lieu of that memory? Probably, yeah. But I'm glad that we were able to purchase our home. You were able to purchase a home, and that really set us up to be able to move to Arizona, years later when we did do that. And so had we gotten married, we most likely wouldn't be here today and wouldn't be in the situation and the lifestyle we have today. So definitely was the right decision. Did we have the wonderful memories of a wedding though? No, we did not. So which is more worthwhile? I would say if you're thinking about debating, should I get married? Should I, and with a fancy wedding, or do I buy the home? Think about the following. What do you want versus what do you need? You might want a wedding, but you might need a house. You may want a wonderful day to show everyone how much you love your partner, but you might need financial security, right? And a little bit more. So just thinking about wants versus needs and really being honest with yourself. Next, I would also say financial security is not something that should ever be put on the back burner. I know a lot of times people think, oh, I'll get to saving later. I'll get to investments later. I'll get to my future, my financial future later. The later is now, because the longer that you push that off, the harder it becomes for you to be able to establish what you need financially speaking. So speak with professionals, get educated, understand the type of lifestyle you're looking for yourself when it comes to who you want to be in 60, 70, 80 years old. And if you're in your 20s, if you're in your 30s, what do you need to do today? It's not about pushing it out later, but what can you do today to ensure that you live the life that you want in the future? And then, of course, you can always have a wedding, right? But real estate deals might not always be available to you when you need them or want them to be. So thinking about the time sensitiveness of this, and that if there's a real estate opportunity, do you really want that to pass when you can always rent a venue for a wedding at a later date, but you cannot always buy a certain piece of property.
Yeah, it's limited resource.
So just think about what's more actually sensitive, time sensitive there. And the relationship, to your point, is always with your partner is always more important than the wedding that you have with that person. So when you think, oh, if I don't have a fancy wedding or a beautiful wedding with this partner, what is the implication of my marriage going to be? Nothing. You can have a beautiful marriage. You can have a beautiful life with someone and not have a beautiful wedding with them. So just think about that. Is it something that you're giving up? Yeah, but with life, you have to think about what's more important. And if a wedding is important to you, then have at it. Do you. But if you're open to starting to build your wealth, then most likely you're not going to get that. And you're going to move forward with buying a home currently.
My advice is, if you have the money, get the home no matter what, and see how the wedding can fit around buying the home. Because the wedding, I feel you can make, you can make concessions for the wedding, but you can't really make concessions for the home. You need to get something that actually provides for you financially, gives you shelter, and is something that is yours and you can have for a very long time, as long as you want, really. So the home to me is numero uno. So everything else after that can just fall into place. There's no debate over it. Okay. Just get the home. If you have the money, get the home.
And if you have the money, you can do both and have at it. But if you can't, and you have to do one or the other, obviously we're biased and we say go mortgage.
Yeah, I just feel that you can do the wedding at a later date if you want to.
And you can get married at City Hall and do all the fancy stuff later. Doesn't mean you have to delay getting married. You could technically do both. You just might not have that nice party that you want.
Well, you can have the party, you just do it at a later date. It's just not all happening at the same time.
Correct.
That's the only difference there. Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario? It's scenario time, guys. Scenario 1. Tariq and Antoine have been saving money by staying in Antoine's grandfather's basement for the past 5 years. Tariq thinks it is time for them to get their own place, but Antoine suggested having a wedding so people would know how much their love is worth. Do you think Antoine has a point, or should they ignore what their friends say and buy a home together?
So this is a great question. Again, when you are in love with someone, the idea of wanting to share or present to the world how much you love the person is very sweet and very romantic in theory. However, it doesn't hold up in practicality and in financial well practices or best practices. Why? Because who cares what other people think about your love story? You could show them all the things that you've gone through, and some people could still disagree and not think that you're a good match or not think that you're meant to be. you should focus on the love you share with your person being with that person. And it doesn't matter who or what knows about that, and ultimately make decisions that will enable your love to grow, and your love would grow very nicely in a home. So why not go with the home and forego the perception chasing that you're going after, because you're never going to be satisfied there, and you need to live for you, not for the perception of what people think you are or what you share with someone else.
Yeah, I agree. Doesn't make sense that you're basing your relationship off of what other people say. That just it seems ludicrous to me. If they really wanted the wedding, then they would just do it. I don't know why it's based on what people think. So just get the home, because that's the thing that will be of most value for you.
Exactly.
Scenario 2. Doris and Elliot are what you call backpackers who are always on the move, never settling in one place for more than a month. They have lived in all the contiguous states in the past 4 years together. The duo have a successful vlog of all their adventures, and they have saved up quite a bit. They are now stuck with the decision of marriage or mortgage. What should they choose?
Great question. So this is kind of like, if you're dealing with a wandering couple, does real estate even really make sense for their type of lifestyle? Love that dilemma. So I still vote property, but not for them to live in, but for them to rent, so that they start to build up passive income opportunities for themselves. Because even though they're a wandering couple, doesn't mean that they can't start to invest in real estate and earn money while they go wander around the world. So I say, go to City Hall, do the marriage, like the simple ceremony situation, and buy the property, earn some passive income by renting out the property, and go and wander on and take great pictures and continue on their fabulous living.
All right, that's a good point. I can definitely see why that would be the best decision to make. I actually would recommend them to get married in this particular situation, though, only because I understand they could get passive income from that, but it just seems like they just have so much fun traveling that having this wedding could be another thing that they put on their vlog, like showing the escapades at their wedding. I don't know. It seems like it'd be more suiting for this couple specifically, in that just having to like figure out how to manage this home and stuff would be, it's going to slow them down a bit.
It would, yeah.
I don't know. For them, I would actually recommend just doing the marriage. It
Interesting.
Doesn't seem like they need us to settle down or yet, I guess.
Okay. So, I still vote the house, because I think that even though they're wandering, they're not going to be wandering forever. And so it might be nice to start to have a property where even if they, after they were done renting it out, they could have some place, or they could Airbnb it or something like that. And they would have somewhere to kind of put down roots if they wanted to. But I see what you're saying with the wandering people. And then if they could get the wedding like fully sponsored or supplemented with some type of endorsement deals based on the type of following or the type of engagements that they have with brands, that could be another option as to how a wedding might make sense for them as well, since they could turn it into content for their vlog.
Scenario 3. Isabel is madly in love with Dante, who comes from a family that owns an island in the Pacific Ocean. Currently, the two are living on the estate and have a house to themselves. Dante's fortune is locked away until he marries, but Isabel really wants them to start their own life away from the family. Should they get married or search for a home in a different country to meet Isabel's wishes?
I'm so confused. Okay.
So, which part is confusing? The question?
Yeah, the question of...
Or
so what's
what
the scenario?
situation
so
that they're in.
What is the situation that they're in here? Someone has no money, and so do they get married when one of them have no money? Is that what you're saying?
So one of them comes from money, and they technically already have a house because of that money, but the house is being shared with the family. So the family is right there, and they can come in, and there's no privacy, there's not a lot of personal space.
Okay, gotcha.
But the thing is, if they do get married, Dante will get access to all the money that the family
But do they have to have a wedding to access
to
that money, or could they just have a regular courthouse wedding?
Well, technically, it just has to be married, so that might work. But I don't know if they would be if they would try to disinherit him for doing that though. So that'd be risky.
Okay,
so it probably does have to be like a fancy party for everybody.
Okay.
And most likely has to be that. So the choice is, should they get married and then Dante could get this money and then do what he wishes with it, or should they just go get a home in a different, like far away from the
family,
Dante's family?
Okay, and just more additional clarity. Is there a prenup involved here or no?
Is there a prenup involved?
Yeah, I'm just looking for the rights of, like, just making sure that he's aware of, who he's marrying.
Yeah, there's a prenup involved.
Excellent. Okay. So, great. And love it. So in this scenario, I would actually say probably marriage, because you're going to unlock the fortune. And then that would allow Dante to be able to move forward with buying a house probably fairly quickly if there's a nice fortune that's at stake here, or that's in a matter that he would be able to come get the money and then, maybe even buy it all cash purchase or kind of thing. So yeah, I would say get married, unlock the fortune, make sure that prenup looks good though, and move forward. How about you?
All right. And then in this case, I mean, it depends, because if it's really tough for them to live in this house with the family and it's just driving Isabel crazy, then I think they actually should just go for the home.
Interesting.
Only problem is I don't know if they have money at this point or not.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest issue.
Can they afford the home?
Yeah. Do they actually have money to get a mortgage? If they don't, then I mean, this is a moot point, because then you can. But if like maybe Isabel herself has some saved up money, even though Dante doesn't have access to his fortune, if she has some money and she has a way for them to get out and they're trying to get away from the family, I would say go with that if they can really, because, in this case, I think they really do love each other. So they should do what makes them happy.
That's true.
If there's no money there, then I wouldn't want them to to do weird stuff to try to pull the money together. I don't know.
I like where your mind is going with this.
Nah, just because there's people who say we're going to do anything to get that home.
Oh,
You shouldn't say that. So then I think you may want to wait it out, get the fortune, and then you can make like a bandit and get out of there, maybe. So it all depends on the situation.
And I do argue that either way, though, just because he has the fortune doesn't mean she shouldn't be contributing to the purchase of this home. As an adult, we all have to contribute to our adult responsibilities of life. So I think
that would be ideal.
Either way, whether he taps into his fortune or not, she should hopefully be anteing up something, whether she has the financial support or at least is able to help coordinate the wedding or something. Just, we both have to bring value, I think, is the only thing that I would argue here, because I think that sometimes, and I feel bad for men, and I want our son to know this too, just because you're the man of the household or whatever type of relationship you're in, that you understand that a partnership is a partnership and that both parties have to bring something to the table to make this a worthwhile partnership, regardless of genders or roles or finances that are involved in the relationship. I would want to put that out there.
All right. Good point.
We are at that time again. It is coming to the end of our 187th episode of Woke and Free. Quite the episode discussing marriage or mortgage. Will we leave you hanging for what our next episode will be about? Drum roll, please.
On our next episode, we are doing another Woke and Free story time called 21 Questions About Failure. Make sure you follow us on social media to follow along in the conversation, and make sure you tune in next week for Woke and Free Wednesday to join the conversation at WokeNFree.com.
If you'd like to be a guest on the show, please submit a topic for an upcoming episode on our Contact Us page at WokeNFree.com. That is WokenFree.com. For social media, hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, at Woke and Free. And then for all sponsorships or collaborations, where do you go? You heard it before. Contact Us page at WokenFree.com.
If you didn't already subscribe, please do share the episode and make sure you come back to join the conversation every Wednesday for Woke and Free Wednesdays. Remember, Woke and Free is more than a podcast. It is a way of life. Until next time.